Dear Evan Hansen, today is going to be an amazing day, and here's why.
The film Dear Evan Hansen follows a high school senior with a social anxiety disorder, whose encouragement letter to himself becomes mistaken as the final note from Connor, a high school loner who has just committed suicide. The film is based off the Tony Award-winning musical, with Benj Platt reprising his role as the title character. The cast sat down with Hollywood First Look to talk about their film.
In terms of working with Benj Platt, I'll share this. I felt, he had 600 or 700 performances under his belt. He was there for the very first workshop. So for me, I didn't have to do much of anything in terms of finding the character. What I felt my job was to do was to let him know that he didn't have to, I didn't want him to feel burdened by it. Like somehow there was this perfect thing that he did that somehow that it was going to get somehow spoiled by doing this different version. Not that I don't know what he was feeling about it. I just wanted him to know and to feel free that it was okay. That just to find a way to turn a 1,000-seat theater into a dining room. It's a very different performance, and yet it's the same song, it's the same character, and so just giving him room to be free to just bring it smaller and trust the material and trust the character. I remember saying things like, don't sing out, sing in, or reminding him this is a thought in your head, or sometimes something as simple of, with a person who is famous for singing these songs, who sang them 1,000 times, just to remind him, hey, you've never said these words before. Sometimes it was as simple as that, and I think he always found that very helpful.
Well, I think one thing that I learned about grief while exploring this character was just that nobody grieves in the same way. And it's important to be patient with yourself, be patient with others who are going through grief, give them the space and give yourself the space to explore those stages and to be kind to yourself.
This period, this period of adolescence is such a traumatic time for human beings. You're transitioning so quickly and trying to develop into this person that you will become, and you're just coming out of childhood where generally a lot of people feel very defined by their familial situation. I think for kids to see this, to see that anxiety and depression and struggles and self-esteem, all those issues, to understand that those are human issues that happens to everybody to various degrees. To destigmatize it, just to see yourself reflected, I think in this film is important for teenagers.
Steven's a dad, and he knows that I am a father of 2 teenage boys, so that I would connect viscerally to the story. Given what the themes of the movie are about, is we landed on some of that emotion. And Steven, during Requiem, right before I sang, he says, wait, hold on, stop the music. And I'm sitting there in the office ready to shoot. And he says, and I hear, he's screaming from the other room. And he said, Danny Pino? And I'm like, yes, Steven Chbosky. He says, you're a great father. Yeah. And
what a jerk.
It's breaking me now.
Well, I feel like we kind of have these certain archetypal ideas of what depression or anxiety look like, or what it means to be truly struggling, and it's kind of diminishing to the experience, because I think a lot of people end up not realizing what they're struggling with, because it doesn't fit into kind of the traditional idea of depression or anxiety or other kinds of neurodivergence. And that's what was really cool about getting to explore our relationship is, Evan's anxiety comes out in one way and Alana's anxiety comes out in a totally other way. And there's so many different presentations of neurodivergence. And yeah, I hope that was communicated in the movie. Yeah.
I think the hardest scene that I had to do that was so emotionally charged and really just physically and mentally draining was the scene actually with, but also it was very rewarding, I have to say. But the scene that Amy and I have right before Requiem starts, I think it's such a complex and heartbreaking scene about two people who love each other so much, and just there's so much misunderstanding there and miscommunication. That was probably the hardest scene I had to do, because then it also led into, you know, singing, and it was really heartbreaking. I think that was the most heartbreaking scene to do.
I feel incredibly grateful. I think for me that was always the kind of driving motivation. Obviously, in my own kind of selfish personal ways, I was a bit nervous and apprehensive to re-enter this material. It's very emotionally difficult material, and I had a wonderful experience on stage, and so to return to that after growing away from it was certainly a scary thing. But the idea, as you said, of how many young people this has the opportunity to reach just based on the scale of a film like this is incredibly gratifying, and I think it's the reason we all jumped in and were so eager to do it. And I noted, I experienced firsthand, as you said, with the musical, how deeply it could affect people. I got all sorts of letters and notes and personal conversations at the stage door with people whose lives were really very tangibly altered by the piece. And I remember a note that was left for me anonymously at my dressing room door that just said, "Because of the show, I didn't let go." And it was, that note I keep in my desk, I keep with me at all times, and I just feel like, it makes the little personal worries and struggles and things that can feel so large just feel so inconsequential when you can affect people like that. So I think we all just feel really lucky that we're part of it.
Dear Evan Hansen is currently playing in theaters now.
Are you lying to all these people? I never thought that it would go this far. I was trying to help. Watching people pass, waving through window. If you knew who I am, can anybody see just how broken I am?
I already know you, and I love you.
I have to tell them. Is anybody waiting?